In today's episode, the Wolseley 1660. Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight. If you're new, Quarterlight is a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at various different car brochures like this one. For today's episode, this particular episode is for the Wolseley 1660, and this particular brochure is from 1967, so let's throw that on the board and have a look at it straight away. So here is today's brochure. The Wolseley 1660 actually was a car that replaced the Wolseley 1560. The 1560 was produced between 58 and 61, and then the Wolseley 1660, which we see here, from 61 to 71. The 1660 having a few minor changes and a more powerful engine, basically. But we certainly recognise this design as being a Farina design, of course, but a design I particularly like. I know at the time a lot of people would say, yes, this is an old-fashioned car because it did trundle along till 71, which I'm sure it looked very much out of place when it was being sold at 71, but nevertheless, I've always liked this design. So other Farina cars, or other cars very similar to this, think about the Austin Cambridge, MG Magneta, Morris Oxford, and the Riley 472. So this particular one, I've already looked at the Cambridge and the Oxford in previous episodes. This Wolseley 1660 was a little bit more upmarket, so we'll see things like a walnut dash, but from the rear it does look very much like a Morris Oxford, as you would imagine. So a little bit of a zoom in on this example, and we can see this is one of the duo tone coloured cars, which I actually quite liked. Again, possibly dated it having these two colours, but I just like that overall vibe of this. And I guess you could say the Wolseley 1660 was kind of like the luxurious, non-sporting model of these Farina cars. Lovely, of course, to see quarter lights front and rear, opening quarter lights front and rear as well. And as we look down the back, of course, we've got that very much identical to the Morris Oxfords at the time, that sort of fin at the back there. The text tells us smooth power, rock steady road holding the luxurious Wolseley 1660. I'll just pull the camera back a moment, because as regular viewers will know, the 60s brochures didn't really open like a standard brochure. They opened in sort of a poster style. We saw exactly the same with the Morris Oxford and the Austin Cambridge, which we've seen previously. So they kind of like open normally, and then they open to make, like I said, a big poster style brochure. What is a little bit unusual about this particular brochure, normally these brochures, the drawings, they're all drawings rather than photographs in 60s brochure. This one rather nicely shows the actual car, which is really nice, and it photographs very well with what looks like a genuine number plate as well. We might as well start here before we fold the brochure up fully. So on this side it tells us sedate, silent and luxurious on the road, a car for the connoisseur. We'll read this at the top, then we'll come back to these rather delightful images. The Wolseley 1660 offers excellent value in terms of luxury and performance. Its 1622cc OHV engine provides extremely flexible power. In the indirect gears, acceleration is really brisk apparently, and on long runs the high rear axle ratio of 4:3:1, which is complementary to the power available, provides a high cruising speed and an economical running cost. So first of all, it gives a genuine little photograph of rather a little blurry little shot of this model before it shows us a different one, as in a different colour and a different number plate, as in a different car, but photographs far nicer and I do particularly like it in this colour as well. CJO185D, I would imagine at this time was probably a genuine number plate, I would imagine. But you often find in brochures that the number plates do get doctored quite a lot to kind of indicate the age of the car in comparison to the age of the brochure. So deregistration would be 1966, so the brochure being dated 1967 kind of like makes sense. And then we get a look on the inside, and I guess look on the inside is where the Wolseley differs, where it's a little bit more upmarket. We'll read about it first before returning to these images. So it tells us the 1660 interior is luxuriously appointed. Finest quality leather over foam rubber cushions is used on all seats. The familiar Wolseley rolled edge to both seat cushions and squabs gives firm and restful support. Full advantage is taken of the small inner rear wheel arches to provide extra seat comfort in the rear compartment. The divided bench front seats are individually adjustable fore and aft. Twin locking sides and a central adjusting handle being fitted to each seat. Armrests are fitted to both rear doors, and there is a folding armrest in the rear seat. Anchorage points are built in, to which your distributor or dealer can fix BMC approved accessory seat belts. Pile carpet with underfelt covers the entire floor. Polished wood fillets on all door tops match the fascia. So leather seats, very nice to see in the Wolseley, and we can see that rather nice wood on the doors, really lifting it up to make it a little bit more upmarket to the Austin and Morris variants. Also, we'll see a rather unusually for this time, we do get a floor gear lever rather than a column shift. And then we get a couple more of these tiny little images of this darker coloured car, and one from the front. I almost missed it as it is in such tiny writing, but it says for home market cars, seal beam, double dipping headlamps are fitted, but alternative equipment can be arranged to suit any export conditions. All types give powerful long-range illumination, a convenient foot dipping switch controlling both headlamp beams, side lamps and flashing direction indicator lamps are combined, and the radiator grille carries the well-known illuminated Wolseley name. Of course, Wolseley always had that illuminated badge at the front. So moving the camera back again, and let's see if we can do this one-handed, but that's where it's going to fold upwards to make this sort of poster style image. So I'm going to have to just put the camera down, rearrange that a little bit, and then we'll work our way through this. So now it makes a really huge sort of brochure style, as you can see. At the top here we do have a drawing, which is very common for these 60s brochures, and never tells you who the artist's name is, unfortunately, though. We'll take it at the top first. We'll have a look over this rather lovely drawn image. We'll have a look at the text and the rather nice interior, and then we'll work our way down. So the drawings at this time are also always very nicely seamed. Looks like we're picking a couple of people up from, looks like they've had a cruise, so at the docks somewhere. I don't know where this is pretending to be, but it is very nicely drawn. And of course it gives us a look at this rather nice radiator grille, and like I said, the Wolseley badge would actually light up on these models, which I always thought is a nice little touch. Just moving the camera manually, if you don't mind, to really more than anything appreciate what a nice drawing this is of a Wolseley. We'll move the camera down though and see how it's describing it. So it tells us from every aspect the 1660 is an impressive car. Features of practical value form the basis of its styling. The rear window and windscreen are both of the wide wraparound type, and all pillars and door tops are slender for maximum visibility. The passenger seats are well within the wheelbase to ensure riding comfort. The Falling bonnet line allows excellent forward vision. At the same time, the headlamps are functionally well placed. Substantial bumpers with overriders front and rear are extended around the wings to give added side protection. At the rear, the overrider blend with the rear lamp cluster, in each of which rear lamps, reflectors, flashing direction indicators and reversing lamps are incorporated. Then it allows us to have a look at the dash, which I think really shows that this is a more upmarket model of these Marinas, with what looks like a walnut dash. Even the gauges look very nice indeed. It describes this as a particularly attractive feature of the 1660 is the polished walnut veneered fascia. A full complement of instruments is arranged within twin dials directly visible through the dish centre steel steering wheel. At the passenger side there is a glove box and locking lid. The fascia top is soft trimmed over a sponge rubber safety rail and a useful parcel shelf runs below. And then we get a little bit of a drawing on the dash. What this is showing, as we can see, we've now moved on to a column change, and this is actually going to be the automatic transmission for one of these. So there is an auto option, surprisingly. Above this drawing it tells us power is transmitted from the 1622cc OHV engine via a hydraulically actuated single plate clutch with a 4-speed gearbox with floor mounted gear change lever. The Wolseley 1660 is also offered with the optional extra fully automatic transmission, which brings exceptional advantages. Driving strain is considerably reduced and there is less fatigue in heavy traffic. The simplicity of control has an obvious appeal to the novice, and the expert will appreciate the sheer precision with which the transmission system operates. For special conditions, cross-country work and caravan and trailer towing, this automatic transmission is supreme. And then we get the main body of text for this brochure. It tells us get safety, refinement and exceptional value for money in this top class car of distinction. So let's just read what it's telling us. Within the very practical dimensions of 14 foot 6.5 inches by 5 foot 3.5 inches, the Wolseley 1660 is a roomy 4 to 5 seater saloon with a lively performance. When needed, there is a sparkling acceleration and powerful braking. On long journeys, there is the staying power of a 1622cc engine for prolonged high-speed motoring. The 1660 is quiet running and therefore less fatigue to drive or ride in. It is exceptionally comfortable and, with the panoramic vision, it is easy to handle as an open car. The 4 doors open to a full 90 degrees and at the front the hinge line is well forward, giving ample room at knee level for entering or leaving the front compartment. Push button door locks are fitted to all doors. They are of a type designed to give a light but positive closure. Winding windows and hinged ventilating louvers on all doors allow for fresh air circulation. For home market conditions, an interior heater with heat control and windscreen demisting ducts is fitted as standard equipment, unusually. I say unusually because at this time very often, heaters were sort of like an optional extra, but I guess this is a high spec version of the Marinas. The 1660 is a beautifully finished outside as within. The entire body chassis unit is rust-proofed by treatment in one of the most up-to-date dip bonderizing and priming plants in Europe. The ultimate paint finish therefore is exceptionally durable, I should say. A wide range of colours and trims are available for the 1660, either with single or duotone finish, details of which can be obtained from your distributor or dealer. Buy wise, buy Wolseley. And then we're greeted with this, obviously an actual photograph of this particular Wolseley 1660 in this two-tone colour, really showing what a big boot it has. Also, if we zoom in a little bit, we can just about make out that actual registration plate, DFC25D, and how it's badged there, so Wolseley 1660. It tells us the 1660 luggage boot is basically of rectangular shape, so that its 19 cubic foot capacity represents usable space. The interior width of 4 foot 9 1/4 inches allows for the storage of golf clubs or a sizable travelling trunk. The boot lid is counterbalanced and can be safely raised or lowered without effort. The opening of the boot lid actuates a courtesy lamp which is fitted inside the boot. The spur wheel is housed in a wind down carrier beneath the boot floor. So as I pull the camera back, we can now fold this back down again to where we've already seen, fold it back closed again to the very back page. The only section we've not seen, the specifications. This side actually is all the dimensions. We won't look through that because it won't really show properly on camera, but we'll look at all these specifications, see what this Wolseley is all about. So it tells us the engine is a 4-cylinder overhead valve, cubic capacity 1622cc, and then if we move down a little bit further, it says maximum bhp 61 at 4500 rpm, maximum torque 90 pound-foot at 2100 rpm. Lubrication, internal gear type pump driven by camshaft, forces filtered oil to all working parts. Full flow oil filter with renewable element, sump capacity 6 3/4 pints, plus 1 1/4 pint for filter. Cooling system, pressurized radiator with centrifugal pump and fan. Circulation controlled by thermostat. Capacity, including heater, 9 1/2 pints. Fuel system, SU carburetor type HS2, fitted with paper element air cleaner. SU electric fuel pump. Fuel tank capacity 10 gallons. Ignition, coil and distributor with automatic and vacuum control. Chassis, clutch, single dry plate, 8-inch diameter, hydraulically operated by pendant pedal. Then it moves on to the gearbox. It tells us it's a 4-speed with synchromesh on second, third and top. So surprisingly, there's no synchromesh on first, which, considering this car is going to be sold until 71. Although it's not really unheard of, and for the time I guess that's okay, but these Farina cars never really pushed things too much. They always were what they were, if you know what I mean. There was never like class leading or world beating in what they actually had to offer. We can now get an automatic gearbox though, for obviously extra cost. Fully automatic with hydraulic torque converter coupling, hydraulic and controlled planetary gear. Set provides 3 forward speed ratios and reverse engaged by multi-disc clutches and brake bands. It talks about the ratios there, and it says speed selector lever mounted on steering column, which we saw in that little drawing. Then tells us about the propeller shaft, open with needle roller bearing, universal joints. Rear axle 3/4 floating with hypoid bevel crown wheel and pinion. Then it starts talking about the ratios. Steering is by cam and peg. Again, it's not class leading in its sophistication, really, is it? Suspension front independent with coil springs and wishbones. Rear semi-elliptic rubber bushed leaf springs. Lever type hydraulic shock absorbers and anti-roll bar at front and rear. Brakes are pendant pedal, operates hydraulic on 2 leading shoes at front and leading trailing shoe at rear. Pull-up handbrake lever operates mechanically on rear wheels only. Again, drum brakes all round. Nothing really unusual for the time, but again, it wasn't really pushing the envelope, was it? Wheels and tyres, pressed steel ventilated disc wheels with 4 stud fixings, and it talks about the Dunlop tubeless tyres and wheel trims. High output generator with compensated voltage control, 12 volt 57 amp hour battery at 20 hour rate. Double dipping headlamps with sealed beams, foot dipping switch, side lamps, twin stop and tail lamps, courtesy lamps in boot, rear reflectors, number plate lamp, non-glare instrument lighting, dual arm self-parking windscreen wiper, twin wind-tone horns, flashing direction indicators with automatic cancelling control, roof lamps, reversing lamps, warning lamps for ignition, headlamp main beam and flashing signals. Instruments, speedometer with trip and total distance recorders, fuel gauge, oil pressure gauge, engine temperature indicator, electric clock. Controls, lightning switch, panel lamp switch, combined ignition starter switch, windscreen wiper switch, mixture control, flashing direction indicator control mounted on steering column, windscreen washer control, fresh air circulation control. And then the coachwork, the mono construction 4-door saloon body incorporates the body shell, floor, bulkhead, frame members and wing valances. Large wraparound bumpers front and rear with overriders. Deep, well-sprung upholstery with foam rubber seat cushions. Leather upholstery with leather cloth on non-wearing parts. Large luggage boot, 19 cubic foot capacity with counterbalanced lockable lid. Single or duotone colour schemes at no extra cost, so that's quite surprising for these cars at this time. Again, showing the Wolseley was a bit more upmarket. You didn't have to pay extra for those 2 colour schemes, and I think I would have gone for the 2 colour scheme as well. It goes on to tell us winding windows and hinged ventilation louvers to all doors, fresh air circulation system, fresh air heating equipment and heat control with windscreen demisting ducts, home market only, walnut veneer fascia and door cappings, safety glass all round, large wraparound windscreen washing equipment, safety driving mirror, pile carpets with underfelt, ashtrays, 2 crushable sun visors, door locks with fixed handles and push button lock release. Children's safety catches, split bench type front seats with individual adjustment. Folding armrests in rear seat, armrests on rear doors, glove box in fascia with locking lid, sponge rubber protection rails above fascia, large parcel tray, provision for fitting radio and BMC seatbelt. So it didn't come with a radio, and I'm not even sure if that's in the optional extras, but we'll have a look at that in a moment, because it does start talking about those now. So optional extras, automatic transmission, of course, we've seen that, laminated windscreen, reclining front seats, electrically heated rear window. So yeah, the radio isn't in the optional extras there, but the provision was there for you to go to the store, get a radio and fit it by the looks of it. So export specifications to suit overseas market requirements. The following production alternatives to the above specifications are available at no extra cost. So engine compression ratio alternatives by the looks of it. It tells us we get electrical double dipping headlamps without sealed beams, standard equipment, left-hand drive or right-hand drive, kilometers or miles per hour, speedometer, a Hardura boot mat, and then the optionals, if you don't mind me just popping a little bit of a camera down. So laminated windscreen, fresh air, heater demister unit, automatic transmission, Dunlop white wall tyres, heavy duty or weathermaster tyres, reclined front seats, electrically heated rear window. And the colours, it just tells us a wide range of colours, and trim is available. Sadly, we don't have the colour chart, which is a shame. Rather nicely at the bottom here, we get the BMC rosettes, the British Motor Corporation, of course, and then it says Wolseley Motors Limited, proprietors of Morris Motors Limited, Box 41, GPO, Longbridge, Birmingham, and then overseas business, BMC Export Sales Limited, Longbridge, Birmingham, England, and then in tiny print, it tells us printed letter press by the Newfield Press Limited, Cowley, Oxford, England. And then we got this little bit of a code here. We can see there it says 767 for July 1967. And then finally the publication number for this particular brochure, 2402/A. So this takes us to the end of this rather lovely Wolseley brochure. I do particularly like these. I've got a bit of a soft spot for them purely because my dad had a Morris Oxford, and coincidentally it was on a D plate, the first real car I remember as a kid. But thank you so much for watching today. If you do remember these lovely Wolsleys, of course, jot them in the comments. Always lovely to read your experiences. And yeah, they were a pretty old-fashioned car by the time they got to 1971, and they were still trying to sell them. But isn't that the way of the British motoring of certainly my memories? Anyway, we'll end by saying, if you've not done already, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free, helps you keep in touch with the channel. Rendered on probably my favourite image of this brochure. It does look particularly good in this particular colour, in this, I don't know, a spring type photo. Very nice indeed. Now, I must also say thank you to the members. Do appreciate people who've become members. It really does help the channel, and you can become a member. Have a look at that. It's a small fee each month, or 1 month if you want, but every bit of that goes straight back into producing these episodes for you. So thank you very much for the subscribers, but thank you to everyone who's watched today. I'm going to probably put a couple of boxes up now. Probably should make a bit of room for those boxes maybe. So I'll pop up a couple of little boxes down here for other episodes you might want to see. Maybe try and put the Morris Oxford one on there just in case you missed it. And probably some other Austin, Morris, etc. related content will be in the second box as well. But thank you so much for watching today. Very much appreciate it. Please do take care. We'll see you very soon. All the best and goodbye.